G'day everyone, welcome back to another edition of Guvs Hero Review videos. Today we are continuing in our Season 2 saga, specifically taking a look at the 5-star legendary blue heroine, Ghost, the Neon City Samurai. Now Ghost is available for summons as we saw from the Neon City portal, which rolls around once every 4 weeks. The portal itself has some odds which we can see there, so there is a 1% chance for a featured hero and a 0.6% chance for a non-featured hero. So to put that in perspective, if you were to do 100 summons in this portal costing you 30,000 gold, you would have a 63.3% probability of gaining one of the 2 featured heroes and just a 45.2% probability of getting an unfeatured hero. Now note that is for either of the 2 options. It's not specific odds. If you were to drill down for the specific odds, we'd have to drastically reduce those chances. So the featured hero would drop from 1% down to 0.5%, and the unfeatured hero would drop from 0.6% down to something very, very tiny, because there's a lot of unfeatured heroes in this portal. Alright, let's head over and take a quick look at her artwork. So we can see here, this is Ghost's artwork. So she is titled as a samurai, a Neon City Samurai. So she does have the necessary katana to go with any samurai. Also got the odd chopsticks in the hair that we can see there, sort of tying back, I guess, to some of those feudal Japanese style, I guess, nods. But otherwise, that's Ghost's artwork. She's also got the skull mask as well going on, or face paint. So yeah, feel free to pause it if you wish to review further. Otherwise, let's head back over to her card. Alright, so her card, we'll continue to have a bit of a look at it. So Ghost has been around for a little bit now in the game. She was added to PuzzleCombat in July 2023, part of Small Giant Games' ongoing drip feed, putting new heroes into existing portals. Strategy they've used for ages, both in PuzzleCombat and Empires and Puzzles. Just keeps you summoning in portals month on month, and keeps you coming back. We can see Ghost is a member of the corporate family, which means that she is granted a chance to receive 50% of the direct healing or armor from enemies' special skills. So it is a 15, 20, 25 or 30% chance for that health or armor steal when there are 2, 3, 4 or 5 unique heroes from the corporate family. We can also see that there is a defense stat bonus for 3, 6, 9 or 12% there too for the same number of heroes. So it is a little bit of an interesting skill. It is just like a vampire effect. So if the enemy team would get 200 healing, Ghost can steal 100 of that, 50%. So yeah, it is also per each enemy that gains the healing. So if an enemy hero is doing 5 lots of heal, it does have to proc each time for those heals, but you could end up stealing 5 lots of the heal as well. So a little bit interesting. It is obviously having to be unique heroes, so it can't be 2 copies of Ghost. It's got to be 2 different heroes, like combining Ghost with Mantis or Ghost with Flak as 2 different examples. In terms of her personal stats, we can see Ghost comes in with 699 attack, 804 defense, and 1530 HP. So there is a fair bit of a skew going on there from that attack stat towards those defense and HP stats. A little bit interesting for a hero that is a damage dealer, but not the end of the day ultimately. We can also see that her power is still reasonably up there at 735. It is a lot better than some of the new heroes, so power just informs to their total stat distribution. So more power means more stats available. Her charge speed is set to 49, which is average speed and requires 11 tiles to charge, or 6 ghosted tiles if you will. The speed break does need only +1, which you can do using any number of things in the game. You've got either of the blue speed guns, you've got the Regalizer Magnum and Ice Breath Saw. Both of those do +9. You could also theoretically do it with the +20 speed node if you wanted to do all of that for just the +1 improvement, but not really necessary, particularly when you look at the double break. So to get her down from 11 tiles to 9 tiles, you do need to reach speed 58, which you can do just using weapons alone. If you just get a +9 speed gun, you actually achieve the double break. So as a result, you don't really need to pick up the speed node. It is a long way down her tree as well. As I said, it's +20, so it's 1500 emblems. So yeah, it's probably unnecessary, seeing as it doesn't affect the double break, and you can do that using weapons alone. But if you want to use a different gun, say something with, I don't know, health or resistance or something like that, you can do that weapon plus the speed node, and it'll get you the first speed break anyway. But I wouldn't do it personally. I'd stop her at plus 18 or plus 9 or something. But anyway, on the topic of class, she is a member of the Spy class, which grants her the chance to scramble the charge of the enemy by 10% whenever dealing damage. So it is quite possibly one of my favorite perks. It is free charge control, essentially. The damage can come from just about any source, provided it's attributed to Ghost. So it could be tiles, it could be minions, could be special skill, could be slash attacks, any of those. Those will be able to proc it. So generally speaking, it is usually enough to affect the battle, just the 10%. And I usually will put a +1 on most of my Spy class heroes as well, just to enable the chance to have that charge cut happen. By way of an actual emblem path, let's duck over to my roster and we can have a look at Bunraku's talent here, because this is pretty much the path that I would advise following for Ghost. So I would be following an attack path just to get more damage output. So we are looking to pick up each of the attack nodes that we can see. Where there is a choice between attack on both sides of the tree, I personally tend towards the defense stat rather than HP. It's just my personal preference. Ultimately, it makes virtually no difference whatsoever. It's the same in the damage calculation, essentially. So I went the path that we can see shown here. So I did pick up defense as my secondary and attack as my primary. I have stopped at plus 18. Plus 19 does make sense to grab that extra attack node that we can see there. But ultimately, it just depends on your emblem availability. Plus 20 is not necessary. It's not going to really make any difference whatsoever in attacking situations if you've got a plus 9 gun available. Defense, it might make a little bit of a difference if you go with a dodge gun on Ghost, if you put her on your defense team. But yeah, otherwise, it is a lot of emblems though to get to plus 20. It's a whole 375 more than where I've stopped Bunraku here at plus 18. So yeah, attack path is the way I would go. All right, back to the portal and let's take a quick bow peep at her skill. So we can see her skill is titled Spirit Katana Slash, and at level 10 skill and 49 charge speed, it will deal 340% damage to the target and nearby enemies. The caster and nearby allies will then gain 35% of the damage that is dealt as armor. It will then finally apply a defense debuff for minus 30% defense for the next 4 turns, which will then scale by an additional 2% per each hit they take for the next, up until a maximum of 54% minus defense. So a little bit going on there, all things considered. So we got some damage, some healing, and a debuff. So let's start off with the damage component. So damage, while it's easy enough to calculate, I do compare heroes based on their attack power for simplicity. It removes a lot of the variability from the calculation and comparison, and it is ultimately analogous to their damage output in the end. So attack power is just their attack stat, 699, multiplied by the percentage in their special skill. For Ghost, that's 340%. And we can see that for Ghost, she comes out with an attack power per tile of 216, which is not too bad. Ultimately, it lands her as number 5 on the list of DOA 5 hitters in a very tight pack with Variant Logan and Mayhem. They're in a very tight bundle there. Small step behind some of the best options we've got, but ultimately a fairly solid hitter. Which is surprising, I guess some might say, because of her high percentage in her skill, but she does have quite a low comparative attack stat. We can see it's a full 100 points lower than what Fungi Beats has, even though they have exactly the same special skill damage. There is a discrepancy on that attack stat. So, you know, ultimately, percentage is good, attack stat's a little low, speed could be better, and where her speed is better, her attack stat is lagging behind. So, bit of up and down, but as I said, you know, number 5 is solid. Fungi Beats, obviously exceptional at 291 there. We mentioned about Varian Logan and Mayhem. You've got ones like Lumi at 192, Lepus at 156, Basic Logan down the bottom there at 133. So, pretty good, optimally. 5 of 11 is nothing to sneeze at. And it does work in then as a decent damage dealer. It then provides for the second part of her skill, which is the armor for damage. So this is the caster and nearby allies gain 35% of damage dealt as armor. So essentially, how this effect works is that once the damage calculation is run on each of the hit enemies, it will then take those final damage numbers, multiply them by 0.35, and then it will sum all of that together and then add it onto Ghost and her nearby allies as armor. So what's really interesting about this is that it's not a shared or a split armor as we see with some other heroes, like Barbie, for example. She does share, like the damage is then shared out amongst all of the allies. But for Ghost, it's each of the 3 or up to 3 heroes gain the maximum amount of armor. They all gain the same amount. It's not diluted. So for rough calculation sakes, Ghost will, in an attacking situation, deal between 450 and 500 damage just off her base card. With emblems and depending on who you hit and what effects are in play, that can be higher or lower. But as a rough number, she's going to do about 450, 500 damage. So 35% of that results in about 150 to 175 armor to herself and nearby allies. That's on one enemy. You then multiply it by the number of enemies you hit. So if you hit 3 enemies, you're getting 450 to 525 armor, which is pretty good, right? We're talking 525 armor. That's a third of her health that she's getting back as armor. You throw in a couple defense buffs or debuffs and attack buffs and that sort of thing, and suddenly we can be talking armor generation in the realms of 700 to 800 HP back, which is very, very good. It is worth noting that if you encounter Ghost on defense, she will do more damage because defense heroes do have a silent defense buff, damage buff. You don't see it anywhere represented in the game, but they will, typically speaking, do more damage on defense than they do in attack situations. So ultimately, though, this is a really great effect. It effectively makes Ghost a very good damage dealer, as well as also being able to operate as a pseudo healer for herself and nearby allies, which is something you don't see much of in this game at all. Like, it's just not something that you really encounter. A hero that's got both good offense and support capabilities as well. The final part of her skill is the defense debuff, so the target and nearby enemies get minus 30% defense and a further minus 2% decrease every time they are hit for 4 turns. This effect can stack up to minus 54 defense. So right off the bat, it is percentage based, which is fantastic. It means it's going to scale with additional power creep into the game. It scales with emblems, it scales with weapons, and all of that sort of thing. So really great that it is percentage based initially. The second thing that's really cool about it is that it is scaling, which means that it starts off a little bit lower. It comes in at 30% debuff, but each time they're hit, it can ramp up really, really quickly up to that maximum minus 54%. It does need 12 hits to reach that cap to get all the way up there. However, any hit counts as, or any damage taken really counts as a hit. So it can be tiles, it can be minions, fiends, slash attacks, skill damage. All of those things will contribute as a hit and will tick that defense debuff up by another unit, or it'll go down rather by another 2%. At 54% as well, it is the highest percentage defense debuff in the game. It's equal with the likes of Sato and Ayumi. They all come in with that minus 54%. The final thing that's really cool is that it is a 4-turn effect. Most defense debuffers in the game are only 3 turns. And the other examples of this scaling defense debuff, they're also only 3 turns. So we look at the 2 heroes that I mentioned just before, Sato and Ayumi. Both of them have this same percentage debuff, the same scaling factor, but both of them only last for 3 turns. So we're essentially getting a 33% increase on those other heroes, which is really, really insane. To highlight just how good this effect is, if we were to run those numbers from before where we saw that Ghost was getting a damage output about 450 to 500 damage, under this defense debuff, because of where it fits into the damage calculation, it ends up coming out as a base damage improvement of 62% more damage. So that's for that minimum amount, that 30%. At the maximum case, we are gaining an additional 185% damage. So that's a multiplier of 2.85 onto her damage. So for 500 damage by 2.85, you know, we're coming out somewhere around like 2,000 damage at maximum. If she was to fire, you had maximum debuff and then she fired her skill again, that is. So obviously a lot needs to happen to get to that point, but it's a considerable amount of damage and a very good improvement, not just to her, but to the other members of your team as well. So overall, Ghost is a highly versatile hero. She is able to fill any number of roles on your team with just the one hero. She's got a quality class. She has solid damage. She's got pseudo healing and a very strong defense debuff on top of all of that. So well worth leveling 1, 2, maybe even 3 copies for uses in, you know, raids, wars, events, war machines, you name it. There's actually a very good case to use her in that field of the game. So for Ghost grading, I am going to give her an A grade for war and raid attacks. Very good hero, able to slot into most teams, either as a standalone hero or as part of a wider color stack. She's going to be very good in that situations. For the war machines, I'm going to give her an A-. Still a very good option with that defense debuff. The only other defense dropping heroes that are worth, in my opinion, using on war machines, in blue you've got Shocker. He does percentage-based debuff, but it's only every second cast that you get it. And the other option is actually Frag, who is a 3-star hero, but she does a -20% debuff. So otherwise, the defense down heroes in blue are all statics. Not including, obviously, Lillian variant in that list because she's elemental defense down. So very good option for war machines. Similarly, for eventing, I'm going to give her an A-. She's got a strong AoE 3 damage, and she's got a defense debuff, which is very useful for event competition as well as for completion. She doesn't do direct healing, which doesn't play into the scoring. She does the pseudo heal, but it still does help because it reduces the health points that you lose. So still a very good option for eventing. In war and raid defenses, I'm going to give her an A grade. Best suited, I think, to the flank position. If you had to pick an ideal team, I'd probably put her at flank. However, she has proven to be a very efficient tank as well in the number 3 position. So I would probably put her in an ideal situation in position 2 or position 4, but she works so well at tank that a lot of top alliances have actually started using her as their war tanks as well. So very good option for your defense teams as well. For the 3 tournaments, so we've got Bloody Battle. Obviously, she loses the armor, which does hamper her a lot. So I'm going to drop her down to a B grade for attack and a B grade for defense. Still an awesome hero, a lot of damage, still got that defense debuff, but does lose a large portion of her skill. In the buff booster tournaments, I'm going to give her an A- on attack and an A- on defense. Doesn't really gain much out of the buff booster rule set. But finally, we've got the charge attack tournament. So this is where they go from their normal speed up to 65. So Ghost, we can see, goes from 49 up to 65, which is effectively a triple break of her speed. So as a result of that, I'm going to give her an A+ for charge tournament attack and an A grade for her charge tournament defense. So overall, that grading comes out as being an A- for her overall attack grade and an A- for her overall defense grade. And that just about concludes the content that I have for this review of Ghost. As always, these are just my personal thoughts and opinions on these heroes. I love hearing your thoughts and feedback on them, so please do jump down to the comments section of the video and leave me a note. I try to read and respond to as many of you as I can. If you did enjoy this video and found it to be good, useful, helpful, feel free to like the channel, subscribe and all of that, but most importantly, share the video around, because if this sort of thing is useful for yourself, it's also going to be useful to the people you play with as well. Thank you once again for tuning in and joining me. I do hope I will see you again soon, but until then, good luck, stay safe, and happy gaming. Cheers, bye!